Thanks for tuning in to Steel City Football, the 4-1-2. It's a great day to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Let's jump right in. So Joey Porter Jr. and Nick Herbig, they're seeking new contracts with the Pittsburgh Steelers. A lot of beat writers are calling it a hold-in. You know, I'm not really sure how under the cap the Steelers are, but from the numbers that I've seen, it looks very difficult for the Pittsburgh Steelers to be able to sign both players. Now, I keep also reading in multiple reports and from the fan base, a lot of fans and a lot of the media, they keep saying, well, in order to sign these two players, meaning Nick Herbig and Joey Porter Jr., the Pittsburgh Steelers need to trade away TJ Watt. And I could not disagree more. Let me tell you why. If there's one player that needed to be traded or let go, I believe it's Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey is making $19.5 million per season. Last year, Jalen Ramsey, by Pro Football Focus, he was ranked 65.8 overall. He ranked 43rd out of 98 qualified players at the safety position. In run defense, his ranking was an 85, fifth among safeties, and his coverage grade was a 59.7, 53rd out of 98 candidates. Now, fine, Jalen Ramsey has a good grade playing against the run, but your safety, you're not really paying your safety $20 million a year to stop the run, especially your free safety. And if you look at Jalen Ramsey in coverage, he is obviously having some issues. So if I was going to do anything, if I was going to release a player to free up cap space, it would be Jalen Ramsey. And then you'd be like, well, who are we going to put at free safety? I would put Dalen Everett at free safety, the third-round pick from Georgia, the corner. I'd have him at safety, and we'd go from there. He's younger. He's faster than Jalen Ramsey. Fine, he doesn't have the knowledge or the wisdom yet. But if you have to free up the cap space, I'm not trading away TJ Watt. That is my opinion. Let's jump into the article about Joey Porter Jr. and Nick Herbig. Two Steelers conduct hold-ins as they seek new contracts. Two Pittsburgh Steelers are holding in during the team's mandatory minicamp that began Tuesday, per the Athletic's Mike DeFabo. Cornerback Joey Porter Jr. and edge Nick Herbig attended practice but were extremely light participants, an increasingly common and effective negotiating strategy for players. Both are eligible for contract extensions and angling for them. Joey Porter Jr., Mike DeFabo tweeted, Joey Porter Jr. and Nick Herbig, who are seeking contract extensions, began their mandatory minicamps hold-ins. They both took a handful of snaps during walkthrough, speed installs, but not much else. Neither participated in individual periods open for filming. It appears tight end Darnell Washington and defensive lineman Keanu Benton were active throughout practice Tuesday, even as both hoped for extensions of their own. I mean, it's going to be real interesting to see what the Steelers do with Keanu Benton. Can you really grade him fairly after the way he's been coached? He's been out of position. I've said it a million times. Should be a defensive end. Coming in as their number 32nd pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, Porter was technically a second-round pick because the Miami Dolphins forfeited their first-round pick that year. Because of this, Pittsburgh did have the luxury of a fifth-year option, making Porter a free agent in March 2027, absent a new deal. Herbig was a gem of a selection in the fourth round of the 2023 draft, a high-impact rotational rusher. He has 16 sacks and 9 forced fumbles in his first 3 years. His situation is complicated by TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith's large contracts, which could prevent the team from offering Herbig his own big money deal. Like Porter, Herbig is entering the final year of his rookie deal. It's also being reported that Mike McCarthy and Nick Herbig had lunch, in Arizona, but during the team league meetings or whatever. But here's the situation again. I've said it before. If you're going to get rid of one player to make cap space, to make room, Jalen Ramsey needs to go. I don't think TJ Watt should be getting traded or let go. That's my opinion. I'm going to stick to it. especially with that coverage grade. You know, I felt that Jalen Ramsey all last year was a liability in coverage. This whole notion that Jalen Ramsey is this, you know, you're getting the same Jalen Ramsey from the Jaguars or even the Rams. I think that ship has sailed a long time ago. But I do not want to see TJ Watt traded at all. He still commands double teams, triple teams, and the stats don't lie when it comes to the amount of blockers that are trying to block TJ Watt on a daily basis and in games. Here we go. Steelers finally signed veteran safety Darnell Savage. It's like, what are we doing with this position? Are we taking it serious? Are we not taking it serious? It seems like we have 100 safeties. We have 100 no-name safeties. We're going to let them all battle it out to see who makes the roster. You know, but hey, Dalen Everett, they say he's the star of the camp for the rookies. Dalen Everett, extreme speed, 4.38 40. Played in big-time games in college. You know, I don't think we're going to see him a lot at cornerback this year, but you could see him at free safety. That would be my advice to the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers signing veteran safety Darnell Savage. The Pittsburgh Steelers are signing Darnell Savage nearly 3 months after initial report of Savage agreeing to a one-year deal with the Steelers. Agent Seth Katz told NFL insider Aaron Wilson that the veteran safety is joining the team. The news comes as Pittsburgh begins its mandatory minicamp today. It's unclear why Savage's signing was so delayed. It may have been due to a health issue. Details of his contract aren't known, but it's likely a one-year contract for at the near the veteran minimum. Savage was on the field for Tuesday's mandatory minicamp and will wear number 31 for the team. This is you know, I'm going to go back to the draft. You'll be like, you're still talking about the draft. You can't cry over spilled milk. But I really believe that the Steelers should have went a different direction with their first-round draft pick. I think they should have took Thiemann, the safety that the Chicago Bears took from Oregon. You know, I know what you're going to say. You keep saying the same thing. You're crying over spilled milk, but you know, if he goes on to have a big season, which I think he's gonna for the Bears, and Max Inhiker doesn't see the field, you know. A lot of criticism directed. It's going to be a lot of criticism directed at the Steelers. Let me look up his name because I'm forgetting his first name. Dylan Thiemann. I was going to call him Adam, you know, the wide receiver that the Steelers signed when he was 99 years old. But yeah, I felt that the Steelers should have took Dylan Thiemann with their first-round draft pick in the draft. Again, I don't care if we sign 100 safeties. I think that safety is the weakest position group on the entire field for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I think this entire year, it's going to be an Achilles heel. It's going to be a pain in the butt for the Steelers. Joey Porter Jr. addresses contract hold in I want to be out there. I mean, you know that Joey Porter Jr. is going to want big-time money. I want to be out there. Joey Porter Jr. addresses contract hold-in. Mandatory minicamp has begun for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and while attendance doesn't seem to be a problem, not everyone is participating. Joey Porter Jr. seems to be holding in as he seeks a contract extension. He's going into the last year of his rookie deal, and he's looking for some financial security. However, Porter didn't have too many details to offer when asked if there's been any progress in his pursuit of a new deal. Nothing really too crazy, Porter said Tuesday via radio stations 93.7 The Fan on Twitter. I'm out here. I'm happy to be out here. I'm happy I'm with the guys. That's all I can really ask for at this time right now. So I'm just going to keep doing that and keep teaching the young guys what I can. Porter looked like a primary candidate for an extension heading into the offseason. While he had some shaky moments to start 2025, he ended strong, being one of the best corners in the league over the back half of the season. He looked like he was finally stepping up as a true number one corner. However, top corners make a lot of money in today's NFL. The best players at that position make around $30 million a year. While Porter hasn't shown enough to warrant that level of a deal yet, he likely wants to come close to that kind of money. We all know he's going to ask for $30 million. Let's be serious. You know, or $28.5 million this season. It's big time money. It's big time money, and I've said it before. If somebody needs to go, if cap space needs to be freed up, we need to say goodbye to Jalen Ramsey. Nick Herbig says he wants to be a Steeler for life. Desire to be a Steeler for life. Herbig talks future Amos Holden. Pittsburgh Steelers fourth-year outside linebacker Nick Herbig is at mandatory minicamps this week at the team's Southside facility, but he's not doing much as he conducts a soft Holden. Though he worked in individual drills, Herbig reportedly didn't practice in any team sessions as he seeks a contract extension from the franchise. He's in line for a massive payday this summer, coming off a career-high 7.5 sacks and 48 pressures and 636 snaps. But despite the Holden, and Herbig has one goal in mind moving forward. It's my desire to be a Steeler for life, Herbig told reporters, according to a tweet from the Athletics' Mike DeFabo. Well, that could always change if you get another team that drops in and says, we're going to give you, 5 years and $140 million. I can't stand the New York Jets, but I'm sure he would be, I'm happy to be a Jet for life. He might change his tune when the money starts coming in if he hits the free agency market. I don't know how the Steelers are going to handle that situation. It's tough. I want to see TJ Watt. He's a legacy player, and I think he still has a lot left. I think he's going to give us 13 sacks this year, but we'll just have to wait and see. But once again, if somebody's got to go, it should be Jalen Ramsey. Mike McCarthy praises Rudolph as a player and leader, really enjoying our time together. I think McCarthy's being nice because he probably knows that Mason Rudolph's time is pretty much coming to an end in Pittsburgh. Really enjoying those 2 lunches we had together as I cut you the next day. Really enjoying our time together. McCarthy praises Rudolph as a player and leader. Boy, I've really grown to have a lot of appreciation for Mason. I'm really enjoying our time together. He's a hell of a football player, so it's another layer of experience for our 2 younger players. And Will and Drew just soak it up, frankly, McCarthy said Tuesday via 93.7, The Fan on X. Well, to be fair, Mason Rudolph hasn't had the best coaching since he's been in the NFL. Also, Arthur Smith was his coordinator in Tennessee, and I think Arthur Smith is a terrible coordinator and quarterbacks coach, whatever you want to call him. So you never know. Mason Rudolph might stick around for the Steelers. When I say those things, I'm just basing it off of how many quarterbacks we have on the roster. Then, Will and Drew are young, and they might want to keep them. So it's nothing personal but I really do think that every Steeler should start with a clean slate based on the coaches that they've, had the last couple of years. So I don't mean to say it like that. Myles Garrett, he gets traded to the Los Angeles Rams, whoever they are at this point, whatever state they play in, I don't know. But, the Cleveland Browns are the Browns for a reason. Myles Garrett, I think he set the sack record last year. Phenomenal player. As much as I can't stand him, the person, as much as I think he's, we all know what he did. He's a phenomenal player. So this is why the Browns are the Browns. And Mike McCarthy's thrilled that Myles Garrett is leaving the AFC North. He could wreck a game all by himself. I really don't understand this trade, but yeah, you're entitled to do what you want. Speaking with reporters Tuesday ahead of the first minicamp practice, McCarthy weighed in on the Garrett trade. I'm all for it, McCarthy said of the trade, according to video via ESPN's Brooke Pryor on X. No, Myles Garrett. No, I don't understand what he's saying. Myles Garrett is a phenomenal player. I had a chance to compete against him 2 years ago. So when you see those types of situations, it happens. And he obviously will have a great opportunity out there in LA. These trades and transactions, I'm never surprised, but what a great player. Yeah, it's definitely a relief for the Steelers seeing a player like Myles Garrett who can he can absolutely destroy an entire game by himself. So I'm sure the Steelers are glad to see him go too. And I'm not here to cover the Browns, but their decision-making sometimes, it's wild. It's like, sometimes I think the owner or whoever, he gets drunk and he just makes all these irrational decisions, and then he sobers up and he's like, oh shit, what did I do? And then they try to fix everything that they destroyed. It's very strange. So the other day, the special teams coach by the Steelers, he got fired for breaking some type of team rule, which is very odd. The Steelers are very forgiving. Look what we just put up with for 19 years and Coach Tomlin. He must have did something wrong. Maybe he was hitting on a reporter. I think it has something to do with that, because I think anything else is forgivable. So maybe he was trying to pick up a sideline reporter. I think it has something to do along those lines. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened. If you're asking me, what do I think happened? I think that's what happened. Because in today's day and age, I think pretty much for anything else, he would be forgiven. But when he crossed that line, I think that's why they got rid of him. That's my opinion. Steelers will hire a replacement special teams coach, says Mike McCarthy. The Pittsburgh Steelers let go of special teams assistant Darius Swinton II last week following a violation of club policy, later reported to be a workplace misconduct violation. Yeah, maybe he was hitting on a secretary or something, some beat reporter. The Steelers have recently operated with only one special teams coach, so it was unknown whether or not that team would look to hire another assistant. However, Mike McCarthy confirmed to reporters today that the hiring process for a new assistant is ongoing, per ESPN's Brooke Pryor. Well, I wish he'd hired me, but that's a whole different video. Well, I mean, I don't know if the truth is ever going to come out with that one, but if I had to bet, I bet you it had something to do with a female. Again, if he cursed at somebody in the building, another guy, unless he went at it with Art Rooney, I don't think he's that dumb. So I think it had to do something to do with a female if I had to bet. All right, let me end it with that. And with that being said, thanks for tuning in to Steel City Football, the 4-1-2.